In 1953, America executed a husband and wife. Not soldiers, not terrorists, an electrical engineer and a homemaker from New York City. They were strapped into an electric chair, one after the other. In the same night, their crime was passing nuclear secrets to the Soviet Union. Secrets that America believed could destroy the entire Western world. But here is what makes this story truly disturbing. Decades later, evidence emerged that one of them may have been completely innocent. This is the story of Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, and it is one of the darkest chapters in American history. To understand what happened, you need to understand the world these two people grew up in. Julius and Ethel were both born in New York City. Both came from poor Jewish immigrant families. Both grew up watching their communities struggle through the Great Depression. Jobs were gone. Poverty was everywhere. Inequality was visible on every single street corner. For many young Americans in the 1930s, communism was not a dirty word. It was an answer. It promised workers' rights. Julius joined the Communist Party. In 1939, Ethel was already a member. They were true believers. They genuinely thought the Soviet Union represented a better world. But for Julius, belief was about to become something far more dangerous. What nobody around Julius knew was that he had crossed a line most people never cross. By 1942, the KGB had quietly recruited him. Soviet intelligence. He was no longer just a communist. He was an active spy working inside the United States. He was careful, he was patient, and he was good at what he did. His Soviet handler was a man named Alexander Feklis. The two maintained a secret working relationship for years. Nobody suspected a thing. Julius built a small network of sources inside the American government and military. He was methodical about it. He never moved too fast. He never took unnecessary risks. His biggest intelligence prize came from someone living very close to home. His own brother-in-law, a man named David Greenglass, was an army machinist, and he had been assigned to work at the most secret location in America at that time, Los Alamos, New Mexico. This was where the United States was building the atomic bomb, the Manhattan Project. Greenglass began passing Julius hand-drawn sketches of bomb components, specifically the lens mold design, the implosion mechanism that made the bomb work. Julius passed everything up to his Soviet handlers. Historians now believe this intelligence helped the Soviet Union cut years off their nuclear program. In August 1949, the Soviets successfully tested their first atomic bomb. The entire Western world was shocked. America had lost its most powerful advantage, and nobody knew how it had happened. Not yet. The collapse of the Rosenberg spy ring began in 1950, and once it started, it moved fast. A British physicist named Klaus Fuchs was arrested in England. He had also worked at Los Alamos. He confessed to passing nuclear secrets to the Soviets. His confession led investigators to a courier named Harry Gold. Harry Gold led them to David Greenglass, facing decades in prison, made a decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life. He cooperated with the FBI. He gave up his own sister. He gave up his own brother-in-law. Julius was arrested in July 1950. Ethel was arrested 1 month. Later in August, the government's strategy was simple and ruthless. They wanted Julius to talk. They wanted him to give up every name in his network. In exchange, both he and Ethel would live. Julius refused. He would not name names. He would not betray anyone. He stayed completely silent. Ethel had 2 young sons at home. She knew what silence meant. She refused to. Both of them chose silence over survival. The trial began in March 1951. It lasted only 3 weeks. The prosecution's most powerful witness was David. Ethel's own brother sat on that stand and testified against her. He told the court that Ethel had personally typed up notes containing classified nuclear information. It was devastating. It was her own family member destroying her in front of the entire country. The defense argued the couple was innocent. They said Julius and Ethel were being persecuted because of their political beliefs. They said this was anti-communist hysteria disguised as justice. The jury did not agree. Both Julius and Ethel were found guilty of conspiracy to commit espionage. Judge Irving Kaufman sentenced them both to death. But he did not stop there. In his sentencing statement, he went further than almost anyone expected. He blamed the Rosenbergs personally for the Korean War. Soviets, the atomic bomb. They had encouraged communist aggression around the world. It was an extraordinary statement. And it sealed their fate completely. For 2 years, appeals were filed, one after another. Protests erupted across the world. In Paris, in London, across America itself. Pope Pius XII appealed for clemency. Albert Einstein appealed for clemency. Thousands of people believed that whatever Julius had done, executing Ethel, was simply wrong. President Eisenhower denied every single appeal. On June 19, 1953, Julius Rosenberg was executed first. Electric chair, Sing Sing prison, New York. Ethel was brought in minutes later. It took 3 attempts with the electric chair to kill her. She was 37 years old. Their 2 sons, Michael and Robert, were 10 and 6 years old. They lost both parents in a single evening. Here is where the story becomes truly complicated. Decades after their execution, the truth began to surface from unexpected places. When the Soviet Union collapsed in the 1990s, KGB files were partially open to the public. At the same time, a secret American intelligence program called the Venona project was finally declassified. This program had been secretly intercepting and decoding Soviet communications for years. What these documents confirmed was this: Julius Rosenberg was absolutely a Soviet spy. He ran a real network. He passed real intelligence. His guilt was no longer a question. But Ethel was a different story entirely. The evidence against her was thin, far thinner than the government had ever admitted. And then David Greenglass, before he died in 2014, admitted something that changed everything. He said he had lied. He had lied about Ethel typing those notes. He made it up to protect his own wife, Ruth. Who had actually been involved in the operation? The government almost certainly knew that Ethel's role was minor, but they charged her with death anyway. She was a bargaining chip, a way to pressure Julius into talking. Julius never talked, and Ethel paid for his silence with her life. The Rosenberg case has never truly been resolved in the American conscience. Julius was a spy. The evidence is clear. He made his choices, and he knew the risks. But Ethel was most likely executed not for what she did, but for what her husband refused to do, in the fear and paranoia of the early Cold War. The United States government made a decision it has never fully come to terms with. 2 little boys lost both their parents on the same night, and the question of whether justice was actually served, on June 19, 1953, remains unanswered to this day.